Talks on the Way of Wisdom, the forum that discusses star battles in human consciousness, illusion and reality, the inner battle of the mind. We are about to embark on an intriguing exploration of Dhammapada verses 11 through 14, where we will unravel the timeless question of illusion and reality. What does it mean to confront the illusions that captivate our minds and reach the essence of reality? How can inner discipline guide us through the storms of passions to discover freedom within ourselves? Join us and watch the entire video as we delve into these verses and learn to overcome illusions, led by Buddha's wisdom on the path to awakening. The inner battle of the mind. In Buddha's teaching, the theme of the distinction between illusion and reality is central to achieving spiritual awakening. The verses from the Dhammapada reveal the significance of right thought and the perception of reality as the path to liberation and the attainment of truth. At the core of these verses lies the question of the inner battle of the mind, a battle between illusion and truth, between the passions that can cloud the mind and the mindfulness that strengthens it. Buddha warns us that those who are deceived by perceiving the unreal as real are lost in wrong thought and will never reach the truth. This mental delusion leads to suffering and anxiety because the person, enslaved by illusion, deviates from the path to spiritual liberation. Conversely, those who recognize reality and follow the path of right thought achieve security on the path and inner peace. But what does the idea of the unreal mean in Buddhism? On one hand, it is the perception of base passions and illusions as guiding forces in our lives. And on the other, it is our inability to perceive the world as it truly is, a world where the lower and higher meet in battle for supremacy in our inner human nature. And what is the idea of the real in Buddhism? It is to make the world around us as perfect as our inner spiritual elevation. So what is the truth in Buddhism? It is to become as perfect as Buddha himself. Our analysis reveals the importance of overcoming illusions through the knowledge of the real I, and through knowing Buddha, and emphasizes the significance of the power of the well-guarded mind, the mind that can resist passions and distractions. We also discuss how proper perception of the world and the discipline of thought lead to spiritual resilience and stability. We examine 3 strategies for self-control in daily life to protect our minds from the passions and distractions that lead to confusion and stress. Distinguishing illusion from reality in the mind. The question of distinguishing illusion from reality in the mind represents a person's inner struggle to recognize and separate the true from the false. This battle, as noted in the verses of the Dhammapada, is crucial for spiritual liberation. In verse 11, Buddha emphasizes that those who perceive the unreal as real are lost in wrong thoughts and never reach the truth. This state of mind leads to suffering because the person becomes attached to delusions and false representations of the world. Illusion, as understood in Buddhism, is not just a misunderstanding of external events and circumstances, but also a distorted perception of the inner world. The mind that does not recognize the true nature of things is easily dominated by passions, emotions, and anxieties. It does not see reality as it is, which leads it away from the path to spiritual awakening. This deviation is described in the verses as being lost on the path of wrong thought. Conversely, in verse 12, Buddha teaches that those who recognize reality and understand that illusions are not the truth reach the truth and attain inner peace. This spiritual insight, which comes from the correct perception of the world, opens the door to truth and mindfulness. One of the central ideas in Buddhist philosophy is that a person can free themselves from suffering through understanding the true nature of things. Ultimately, the inner battle between illusion and reality is inevitable for anyone seeking spiritual liberation. This battle requires knowledge of how the world is structured both within and outside of a person. In the end, passions will eventually fade, but spiritual insight as knowledge of the world and humanity will guide us until we reach nirvana, until we become one with Buddha. The disciplined and well-guarded mind. The power of a disciplined mind is a central theme in Buddhist teaching, as only through mindfulness and self-control can the mind withstand the passions and distractions that tempt it. In verses 13 and 14, Buddha uses the metaphor of a house to illustrate what happens to a mind that is not well guarded. Just as rain penetrates a poorly maintained house, so too do passions break through a mind that is subjected to chaos and lack of discipline. Conversely, a well-maintained house is protected from storms, and likewise, the well-guarded mind is safe from the inner storms of passions and illusions. When the mind is awake and aware of the nature of its inner world, it can resist the passions and distractions that could easily overwhelm it. This well-guarded mind is the key to spiritual well-being and stability. Buddha warns us that when discipline is lacking, the mind becomes vulnerable to emotional impulses that can divert it from the path of right thought. Stability on the path. Stability on the path represents a key concept in Buddhist teaching, where right thought provides inner peace and resilience in the face of life's challenges. The verses from the Dhammapada emphasize that those who recognize and accept the real achieve security on the path of right thought. This security is rooted in the understanding of the nature of the soul, allowing the individual's mind to remain steadfast in the face of the storms born of illusion. When the mind is subjected to illusions and delusions, it finds itself lost in wrong thought, leading to insecurity. However, mindfulness based on right thought creates conditions for inner stability, which is constantly in the struggle to achieve independence from external circumstances. This inner stability is essential as life is filled with uncertainty and change. When the mind is focused on right thought, it not only overcomes illusions, but also discovers new opportunities for growth and development. The difference between illusion and reality is not a philosophical concept, but a practical exercise and mental practice, which is foundational to our daily lives. To achieve inner peace and spiritual growth, we must actively work on the discipline of our minds. Call to action. Do not wait for a moment of inspiration. Start now. Make today the beginning of a new journey for yourself. Introduce small changes in your daily life that will help you stay connected to the real. Remember that true knowledge and self-understanding lead to inner peace and resilience. Let every step you take be a step toward the truth you seek. And so, let us move toward mindful existence by embracing the power of the well-guarded mind. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like our channel. We'd love to hear your opinion.